The night the forest tried to swallow them whole began without warning, as if the world itself had decided that two fragile lives were no longer worth sheltering. Snow fell thick and heavy, erasing footprints, muffling sound, and pressing silence down like a weight. Beneath a torn green tent, barely standing against the wind, an elderly couple clung to each other for warmth, their breath shallow, their bodies trembling, their hearts heavy with a pain far colder than the storm around them. They had not been lost by accident. They had been left behind, by the very people they once called family. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the idea that humanity can still shine in the darkest moments, take a second right now to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps stories like this reach hearts that may be quietly breaking. They had raised children, worked until their bodies could no longer keep up, and trusted that love would circle back to them in old age. Instead, what circled back was silence. When their health declined and money ran thin, the phone calls slowed, then stopped. Eventually, there was only a short drive into the countryside, a weak excuse about fresh air, and a goodbye that never planned to return. The couple did not fully understand what had happened until the car disappeared down the frozen road, taking with it the last familiar sound of family. Night came fast after that, bringing fear, regret, and the terrifying realization that they were truly alone. Hours passed inside the forest as the temperature dropped. The man's hands shook as he tried to secure the tent, while the woman's strength faded with every gust of wind that slipped through the fabric. Memories replayed in their minds, birthdays, sacrifices, sleepless nights caring for others, now reduced to echoes that offered no warmth. The forest did not care about loyalty or history. It only cared about survival, and survival was slipping away from them minute by minute. Miles away, cutting through the same snowstorm with steady purpose, an ex-Navy SEAL moved through the woods with disciplined precision. Years of training had taught him how to read silence, how to sense when something was wrong even before logic could explain it. At his side ran his K9 partner, a powerful German shepherd whose loyalty was unshakable, whose instincts were sharpened by countless search and rescue missions. This was supposed to be a routine winter patrol, a way for the man to keep his skills sharp and his mind clear after leaving military life behind. He had seen war, loss, and betrayal, but something about the stillness of the forest that night felt different, heavier. The dog slowed first, ears alert, body tense, nose catching a scent that did not belong to animals or untouched wilderness. The men followed, scanning the tree line, heart rate rising with a familiar sense of urgency. Training kicked in automatically. He adjusted his pace, trusting the dog's instincts more than his own thoughts. What they found moments later stopped him cold. The tent looked like a forgotten relic, barely visible beneath snow-covered branches. Inside, the faint glow of a dying lantern revealed two figures huddled together, their faces pale, eyes wide with fear and disbelief. The men knew instantly how close they were to the edge. Hypothermia was not dramatic or loud, it crept in quietly, stealing strength, clarity, and finally life. Without hesitation, he moved into action, anchoring the tent, shielding it from the wind, and assessing their condition with calm efficiency. The dog pressed close, offering warmth and presence in a way only animals can, grounding the moment with silent reassurance. There was no anger in the SEAL's expression, only focus. Yet somewhere beneath that discipline, something old and painful stirred. He had seen abandonment before, soldiers left behind, promises broken, people discarded when they were no longer useful. Seeing it happen to two elderly souls cut deeper than any battlefield memory. This was not just a rescue mission. This was a confrontation with everything wrong in a world that forgets its own. As the storm raged, he worked tirelessly, using his pack to provide insulation, food, and heat. Every movement was deliberate, every decision shaped by years of experience under pressure. Slowly, the couple's breathing steadied. Color returned faintly to their faces. Survival was no longer slipping away, it was clawing its way back. By dawn, the storm began to break. Pale light filtered through the trees, revealing the full reality of what had almost been lost. The forest, once threatening, now seemed like a witness to something sacred. The men guided the couple toward safety, the dog staying close, occasionally looking back to ensure neither fell behind. Each step was a battle against exhaustion, but also a step toward dignity being restored. News of what happened spread quietly at first, then faster than anyone expected. A passerby recognized the couple later that day and shared the story online. People were stunned, not just by the cruelty of the abandonment, but by the compassion of a stranger who refused to walk away. Donations appeared. Messages poured in. Offers of housing, medical care, and support followed. The couple, once invisible, were suddenly seen again. For the ex-SEAL, the attention was uncomfortable. He had not acted for praise. He acted because leaving them would have haunted him for the rest of his life. Service, to him, had never been about uniforms or medals. It was about standing between the vulnerable and the cold, no matter what form that cold took. His K-9 partner became a symbol too, a reminder that loyalty does not age, does not calculate worth, and does not abandon. The elderly couple slowly began a new chapter they never expected to have. Warm beds replaced frozen ground. Gentle voices replaced the howling wind. They carried scars that would never fully fade, but alongside those scars grew something else, proof that even when family fails, humanity sometimes steps in. They spoke often of the forest, not as a place of terror anymore, but as the place where strangers became saviors. What makes this story so powerful is not just the rescue itself, but the contrast it exposes. On one side, abandonment justified by convenience and comfort. On the other, a man and a dog who owed these two nothing, yet gave them everything they had in that moment. It forces us to ask uncomfortable questions about responsibility, gratitude, and what it truly means to care for one another. As viewers, it is easy to feel anger toward the family that walked away. But the deeper lesson lives elsewhere. It lives in the reminder that compassion does not require blood ties, that heroism often arrives quietly, and that sometimes the most meaningful acts happen far from cameras and applause. It lives in the understanding that one choice, to stop, to look closer, to act, can rewrite the ending of someone else's life. If this story has reached something inside you, if it reminded you of someone you love or a kindness you once received, please take a moment near the end of this video to like it, share it, and engage with it. Your interaction tells us that stories of humanity still matter in a world that often feels too cold. And before this story closes, we ask one special thing from you. Leave a comment, not just an emoji, but a thought, a prayer, or a message of hope. Let the algorithm see what kindness looks like when people come together. The forest returned to silence after it was all over. Snow covered the footprints, erasing evidence of the night when life almost disappeared. But some marks cannot be erased. They live on in the hearts of those saved, in the quiet pride of a man who never stopped serving, and in the unwavering loyalty of a dog who followed instinct straight into history. This was not just a rescue. It was a reminder that even when the world turns its back, love can still come running through the storm.